So today, I am in this, a 1985 Toyota Sprinter Torino GT Apex AE86. It's right-hand drive, straight from Japan, and what's special about this one is it is the regular car reviews AE86, this very one. And before you guys say anything, yes, he did sort out the freaking alignment. He did that, like within a week of that review? It's just a day after, there you go. It's just like scheduled, you know? It's an easy fix, don't worry about it. But yeah, what is it like to drive? Well, it's what you expect an 86 to be. It's very familiar, it's very responsive. It's, well, to me, I feel like it does everything you say, or it does everything you want it to do, and it responds just instantly. It's like another extension to your body. And I feel like it's really familiar to me. Well, mainly because this is my very own AE86. Now, it's a 1985 Toyota Corolla GT-S. And sure, it's heavily modified, and I'm running a 20-valve blacktop 4AGE, which makes a little bit more horsepower, 150 about. And sure, handling characteristics wise, it's been drastically improved, but essentially, the soul of the car is practically the same. Now, I know some of you out there will be saying, wait, a GT-S left-hand drive? That's not a real AE86. Now, those people would have probably watched the regular car review of the AE86, and he states that this is not an AE86. Now, what Mr. Regular states in his argument is two things. One, the car says AE88 on the VIN portion of the nameplate. And second, he says that the GT-S has less power than the JDM equivalent Torino. But those 2 points are inconclusive. That doesn't mean that this car is not an AE86.
But I get what Mr. R is on about. We all want that 16-valve twin-cam 4AGE with its ingenious T-Viz system, which Mr. R explained how it works in detail. The 5-speed T50 transmission, that rear-wheel drive configuration with optional factory LSD, 4-wheel disc brakes, that lightweight compact body, that, wait a sec, left-hand drive? Oh yes, apart from bumpers and paint, this is a Corolla GT-S. And yes, it says AE88 in the VIN number. Looking back at the JDM nameplate, there is no VIN. Also, why did I cover up the rest of the VIN? See, a VIN is a US only thing, and it stands for Vehicle Identification Number. It's confidential information like your driver's license ID number. What really matters in a nameplate is that model number right at the top. In this rare AE86 history magazine, we find a useful reference chart. The E stands for the 1978 development platform, AE86 stands for 4AGE, F refers to the Sprinter model, C stands for the 3-door hatchback versus the 2-door coupe, M for manual 5-speed, V for GT Apex, and F for EFI double overhead cam. Oh, and this special L stands for female configuration. Don't ask me. Looking back at the USDM nameplate, we too have a model number. Once again, we have AE86 for the chassis, L for left-hand drive, E for Corolla family, C for 3-door hatch, M for manual tranny, Q for GTS, F for 4AGE, and A for the United States. If you're still doubtful, allow me to introduce you to this, a Corolla SR5. Unlike a GTS, it has a carbureted 8-valve 4AC motor, which makes 87 horsepower. It has drum brakes in the rear, and finally it has thinner and weaker axles going through an open differential. Sound familiar? But guess what? The SR5 says AE86 in the VIN. In fact, all SR5s do. Want your real 86? Well, here you go. Okay, seriously speaking here though. Would you really consider this more of an 86 than this? Crazy, right? Well, back to my point. They're both AE86 chassis. And because of this, you can swap all the parts over, thus converting a SR5 to a GT-S. That's when we turn back to our old friend the 88 to tell between a factory GT-S versus a conversion. In fact, same trick can be done for an AW11, as AW15 refers to the NA model versus the AW16, which refers to supercharged in a VIN. But even so, we all universally call these lovely things AW11. Isn't that right, Mr. R? It just happens to be a thing with Toyota. Take the MA6T1 Silca Supra. VINs just rarely or don't even match the chassis codes. So why do we even call them AE86? I mean, sure, we can just call them by their specified models, but there are just too many of them, like the Levins and the Trirenos, the 3-door hatch, 2-door coupes, all these model ranges. Now take all of that and split them into the Zenki and Kokeis. Then we have Corolla GTs and right-hand drive that made their way to Australia, UK, Ireland, left-hand drive Corolla GTs all over Europe. If only we can call them all by one name. Oh wait. See, we use chassis codes to specify generations, not model ranges. For instance, the BMW 3 Series, which spans from the E21 to the F30, each with a range of different models and region markets. Same thing can be said for the S13, S14, and S15. Wait, S13? That's right! Mr. R reviewed an S13 Sylvia and an S13 240SX with a KA24, which makes much less power than the JDM SR20. Oh, look at that. Doesn't even say S13 in the VIN. And he still calls it an S13. Good. And on that note, let's move on to the next point. Power. While the USDM 4AG makes less power, Mr. R neglected to explain why. And here's the culprit. The MAF sensor. MAF stands for mass airflow. Even from appearance it looks restrictive. Looking back at the JDM 4AG, you will notice there is no MAF sensor. That is because it uses a MAP sensor for mass air pressure, which basically is just more efficient. The MAF was needed for emissions regulations, but apart from that, the motors are just about identical. Bear in mind, I have driven both the JDM one and the USDM, and let me tell you, the difference in power behind the wheel is so minute, having a passenger on board would make the JDM one slower than the USDM without a passenger. Now, before I come to my conclusion, I just wanted to state that I am a big fan of regular car reviews and I do thoroughly enjoy his videos, but this misunderstanding needed to be corrected.
So yeah, in conclusion, the Corolla GT-S does say AE88 in the VIN. And sure, it makes a little bit less horsepower than the JDM equivalent Trireno. So, whatever, you can go ahead and call it the 88. Fine by me. Even though it's just really redundant and sounds kind of silly. Even Noriaro, with his technically AE85 86, which he calls it the 86 anyways, because it's practically the same. So, do you get the point? But anyways, yeah, whatever, go ahead. But if you say the Corolla GT-S is not an 86, then I just don't consider you a car enthusiast. And on that note, I'll end with Keiichi Tsuchiya, the Drift King himself, with one of our own Hachirokus. Enjoy.
Now it's Tsuchiya's turn for the time attack. Although it'll be his first time in this particular car, Tsuchiya is obviously no stranger to the Hachiroku. Throttle control is the key to driving the Hachiroku fast.